As we know, there are known knowns. There are things we know we know. We also know there are known unknowns. That is to say, we know there's some things we do not know. But there are also unknown unknowns. The ones we don't know, we don't know.
We have a very special guest for you guys today. These people, and I use that term loosely, I hope he will forgive me, but these people have always fascinated me. Because if you don't learn from history, you already know what I'm going to say. That's right. Shout out to our brother Elon Musk, because without him, we would not have the freedom of speech to broadcast these kinds of interviews. So we do thank him for that. So without further ado, please welcome our wonderful guest, Earl Lee Tubbs III. Hi, Earl.
Why, thank you, Avid. It is my pleasure to be here on this most blessed day.
So how long have you been a Civil War reenactor?
You may call me a reenactor, Avid, not as completely acceptable. But being misnomered as a simple reenactor greatly diminishes the proud and romantic culture of the South. Please know me as a Civil War advocate and an active member for the glorious 3rd Artillery Brigade of Tennessee and the glorious Gentlemen of Mississippi.
Interesting. So how much do they actually pay you guys to reenact Civil War battles?
We do not require payment for our contributions. These are sacred endeavors. We are but volunteers, Ivan.
You mean to tell me they don't pay you for this? I mean, that's fascinating to me. Well, at least you get to keep those cool Civil War uniforms they give you.
Oh, dear Ivan. Our commitments go much deeper than the petty souvenirs we adorn. We purchase these uniforms ourselves.
So you don't get paid, and you have to buy your own uniforms.
How American is that?
So you portray General Braxton Bragg. Why did you choose him?
Well, I've yet to choose anyone, Abbott. I like to think these characters choose me. Braxton Bragg was the 5th highest ranking general in the Confederate States of America.
Interesting.
When a brigadier general asks you to serve, sir, you answer the call with duty and honor.
It's funny, Gary. A lot of these Civil War reenactors, they choose to represent the losing side of the war rather than the winning side. It fascinates me. Why would you portray the losing side of anything, really?
Oh, Abbott, I must take umbrage with the assertion the South lost the Great War of Northern Oppression. You're assuming that it's a completed ceremony. Oh, quite the contrary, good sir. Have you ever heard of a second Civil War?
Yes, I don't know much about it, full transparency, but I have heard of it. It does ring a bell.
Ring a bell indeed it does, sir. Do you realize there has been no such occurrence?
What was that?
That is what this great struggle was all about. Nay, is all about.
Interesting.
It is factual. There exists no document that states otherwise.
So what you're trying to tell me is the Civil War isn't over? It's still continuing?
There is neither a complete nor unconditional surrender of the Confederate States of America, and that includes the states of Alabama, Mississippi, Texas, and Tennessee.
They never surrendered?
Nor have they, nor will they ever formally agree or take signatory action, Avid. If you're at odds with this, you simply can look it up, sir.
Well, we were taught that the North won, and that's why slavery no longer exists.
And taught erroneously by the godless and heathenistic Yankee public school system.
So now you're against public school systems?
What we are against, dear sir, is the dissemination, the subjugation, and the transgression upon the Southern culture and way of life, whether it be the right to own property, being inanimate or animate.
What about the freedom and the rights of the slaves, sir? Does that not matter to you?
Are you referring before or after the Northern Territories interpreted the policy of emancipation, which superseded the policy of this great country of ours?
You mean the Constitution?
It is that very document of which I speak.
Well, I don't remember many things these days, sir, but I do recall vividly that the Constitution says all men are created equal.
Indeed, it does say those words, my friend. Before it was unduly amended relative to context and reproach, did the Constitution not mention slaves?
Oh, that was the Constitution. My bad. Yeah, I always thought that was the Bible.
Oh no, and quite the contrary. The scripture is far more unkind to the slaves than the Constitution was.
I must have read something wrong. Interesting.
Which you know is the status quo and A-OK with the Yankees until...
The Emancipation Proclamation, dear sir.
Bingo, Avid, which was a far cry from legitimate legislation to what our contemporaries might refer to as an executive order.
I just need to say we here at the Avid Kingston Show do not represent nor condone nor support slavery in any shape or form, unless it's the Irish. And then that's a joke. Okay, calm down. Save your emails.
Indeed, I have my own proclivities about the Irish Protestants.
Kind of, it's a joke.
Do you own an iPhone, Avid?
I actually do own an iPhone. Thank you. My wife says I can't live without it. I kind of agree with her.
Then you, sir, are a cuckold of modern-day slavery and are simply unaware.
Sir, Apple does not enslave people. They pay them wages.
Something called wages as payment sounds more like subjective word choice to me, Avid. It pays many an underwhelming wage, incapable of sustaining food, shelter, and common decency. There are wages, dear sir, and there are wages upon which war is distilled.
I don't see how that's worse than slavery.
Well, which is the worst evil perpetrated upon your fellow man? Work that neither provides shelter, nor food, nor fulfills earthly needs? Is not food and shelter a requirement for services rendered?
Actually, I'd rather get paid.
Then the South will be forced to subjugate itself to a single man's proclamation.
Who cares what they
without
call it?
Consultation, without representation, without consent. Is that not the very definition of slavery?
If you're forcing people to work against their will, is that not called slavery, sir?
The South simply wanted to be left to its own devices.
Please.
Free of northern aggression, free to exercise their own free will, to live the Southern way of life.
Certainly it was the South that fired the first shots, Fort Sumter.
Shots fired first and by whom are simply semantics.
Okay, so if we're talking about who started the war, and the Southerners started that. They shot first fire. Well, I'm sure we're never going to see eye to eye on that, sir. But if you want my opinion, the North or the South, they should have never broken away from the royal monarchy. Okay? We had far more rights as a monarch territory than we do today.
Oh, do tell.
Google smallpox, just as an example. I mean, people were literally dropping dead like flies. They didn't have mask mandates. They didn't have vaccination cards. They walked around with their little napkins and coughed up their little blood, and everyone left them alone.
Well, we can agree on that one, Avid.
All right, if you died, you died. That's it.
I can see that you are one of us clear as day. A brother in arms, so to speak. I can feel it in my bones. Neither of us want to be hampered by restrictions forced unduly upon us.
Yeah, unless you're a slave.
You are learning quickly. Only God above can grant freedom and thus remove it. Mortal beings such as you and me cannot perform such feats.
All right, well, I could talk to you forever. We're going to have him over for a second interview, talk about the Second Civil War interview.
I found this quite enjoyable. You're very clever, Avid.
Okay, but you got to talk to people in this world, even people that you disagree with, even sore losers.
Very clever, Avid.
Thank you for tuning in. God save the Queen. God bless the shadow president. We'll see you next time.
I shall bid you a fond farewell and adieu until next time, dear sir.
Fighting for my life. Y'all killing me with this.